Hello, this is the first Craft House Magic podcast and my name's Ellie Jones. So I'm Craft House Magic on Instagram, LEB93 on Ravelry, and you can also find my website crafthousemagic.co.uk. So I'm most active on Instagram, so if you want to follow me there, that's the best place to go. So following my guest appearance on Tilly Trout's podcast a couple of weeks ago, I decided to have my own podcast because I enjoyed it so much. So I'm going to stick to a basic format where I'm going to show you my knitting projects and then other projects just after that. And then I can evolve the podcast as we go along if we need to change it as and when. So, first of all, I'm going to start talking about finished objects. So they've got one finished object for this week, and they're my crazy Zorba Ball socks. I don't think that these show up very well on the camera here because they're black and like a purple colour. It's not quite coming quite as bright as it is in real life there. So I really liked how these socks sort of matched, but not quite, in that the colour came just after the heel on this sock and just before the heel on this sock, so they're kind of like sisters rather than twins, as you would say. So the crazy Zorba Ball yarn I found was actually really quite soft when I was knitting it. I was really pleased with how that came out, really enjoyed knitting those. And this is just a plain vanilla sock pattern that I kind of made up as I was going along, and I've done a slip stitch heel just there, just to strengthen the heel a bit so that they wear a bit longer. So I'm really pleased I finished those. So moving on to works in progress, the first of these is my featherweight cardigan. Here it is. So this is by Hannah Feltig. I've probably pronounced that completely wrong, but I've managed to complete both of the sleeves since I was on Tilly's podcast, and I've actually picked up the stitches right around the neck and around the front, and I've just done a few rows there. I don't know if you can see, I've started doing a little bit of that border. So I'm doing the Fibonacci sequence, which is where you do some purl rows and some knit rows, so you end up with an edge that doesn't roll too much, it's just only the very edge bit. And if you go on Ravelry, you can see that lots of people have actually done that method around the neck instead of doing the ribbon or different lace patterns and things, so I'm really pleased with that. So one of the things I noticed is that I haven't actually done much one-to-one ribbing, and until I've sort of done this cardigan. I normally do 2x2 rib or moss stitch round sleeves and things, and I noticed that when I was knitting the sleeves on this cardigan that I actually purl a lot tighter than I knit. And I noticed that actually on the inside of the sleeve, because I'm knitting in the round, it's actually come out a lot neater. So I think next time what I'm going to do is try and knit the other way round, so I end up with a neater side on the outside, which I thought was quite interesting. Or another thing I could do is knitting in the back loop just on the knit instead of the purl, so it becomes tighter and a more even knit. Because you're knitting in the round, you don't ever knit backwards or on the inside. It then should come out neater. I hope that makes sense. You can always message me if you want to chat about it a little bit more. So that's my featherweight cardigan. Oh, and I forgot to say, this is out of the West Yorkshire Spinners Bubblegum, and it's the signature 4-ply, and this is a really nice hardy yarn, and I've knit no end of socks with this, so I thought it would be ideal to have a cardigan that you could just throw in the washing machine. That would be really good. So I've been knitting a secret project. So Adam, if you're listening, you better close your eyes now. So this is my secret project that I've been knitting. So it's a pair of socks for my fiance Adam, and it's in the most craziest, brightest colour yarn you've ever seen. So this is Zitron Trekking XL, and it's, oh gosh, I haven't got the ball band, but you can, if you look on my Ravelry page, you'll be able to see more information about the yarn. But it's this really, really bright fluorescent yellow, and then it tones down to green, and then there's a blue part in there. You can actually see it better in the sock. And I'm just again knitting a plain sock for this one. I have noticed that on this particular ball there's some areas where the yarn has gone a bit thicker or thinner, so it hasn't knitted out as neat as normal. But I have knitted with this yarn before and it hasn't happened to me, so perhaps I've just had a couple of areas that didn't work out properly when they were making the yarn. So there's that project. So Adam, you can look again now. I've got another pair of socks on the go, and I actually showed these on Tilly's podcast and I haven't done any more on them since, but it's such a gorgeous yarn I couldn't help but show it. So I've done just a little cuff so far on these, another pair of socks, and the colourway is absolutely gorgeous. So this is a yarn by Lizzie at the Ball of Love yarns on the Etsy shop, and she does really lovely yarn, and this is a merino nylon mix, and it's such a lovely colour and it's really squishy, so I'm actually hoping to start knitting on those. I've been doing a lot of driving, well, not driving myself, but my partner's been driving us to a couple of weekends we've been going away, and I've been doing a lot of knitting, so I've been doing lots of very simple projects like working on the sleeves of my featherweight and the plain socks, so I haven't had a chance to really do the cable that's required for this pair of socks. So the pattern that I'm going to follow is the Hedgehog Fibres, I think it's called Sprouting, oh there we go, the Hedgehog Fibres Sprouting pair of socks, and they actually, if you could see a little bit closer up, they're a gorgeous ribbed sock pattern which I can't wait to get my teeth into, but it's come out really lovely so far just in the rib section. I'm just about to get to the cable bit, so that's really exciting. Now I haven't actually done any on my shawl either, so I'm working on this shawl, the Emiliana shawl, and it's by Malia Designs. I apologise for my pronunciation because it's absolutely appalling, but it's this lovely shawl. I'll see if I can find a picture that shows you a little bit more and not show you the actual pattern, but look at that, it's gorgeous. It's got some beautiful two colours in it. I've chosen to use the most boring colours, but I thought that these two colours would really go well with lots of things. So it's a very pale grey and a dark grey, but it's really lovely soft yarn, and it's by the Juniper Moon Harriet Farm. Absolutely gorgeous. So it's alpaca, 75% alpaca and 25% polyamide, and that's, oh, it's so squishy, it's really lovely. And you can see that I've done a little mini triangle of it. I don't know if I can show you the texture stitch. I've showed this on Tilly's podcast already, but just for those of you who haven't seen it. So I'm working on that one as well. Really love how that's coming along. The trouble is, because I'm working on quite the dark part, I can't really see to knit late at night, so I have to make sure I work on that during the daylight hours. So what shall I do next? So what I'm planning on knitting as well is the Sugar Plum. Let me just check if that's right. I'm sure it's the Sugar Plum Shawl by Mina Phillip. And it's a lovely little simple lace pattern that she does in 3 different sizes, and this is the yarn I'm going to use, so it's a really pretty pinks and greens. I don't think the pinks are quite coming out as bright as they are in real life just there, but it's the Malabrigo sock in the Lotus colourway. It says 120, so that's a really nice colour. Let's see if I can just double check that it is the Sugar Plum Shawl. I'm sure it's called the Sugar Plum Shawl, but I just have to check. Yes, it's the Sugar Plum Shawl. I have got a picture on it on my iPad, but I don't know if you'll be able to really see very well. No, not very well, but you can see the shape of it. It's like a sort of a rounded shaped shawl, so that should look really lovely. I also purchased some lovely fluff this week, and this is from a shop on Etsy called Gone Woolly. And this is, oh my gosh, this is so soft merino, and it's got lots of sort of shades of blue and green in there, which I tend to pick lots of blue things, to be honest. So it's a lovely braid, and it's made of 100% merino, and this colourway is called Atlantic Shallows, and I'll just show you the colourway there. So that's really beautiful. So I want to try and make sure I get time to spin this sometime this week. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to make out of the yarn when I've spun it, but I should be better with my planning, but never mind. Right, so I've talked about sort of my knitting things. Recently I've been working on this lavender cushion. Well, this is the top to a lavender cushion. I wonder if I can put this onto something dark. It might be easier to put it against my sock that I've knitted. So this is going to be the top of a lavender cushion, and you can see that it's got some really pretty lace on it, but you can see lots of ends at the moment, so actually got to weave those into the fabric to make them disappear. That's actually the right side. I showed you the incorrect side before. So this part here is called rose ground, and then these are called spiders, and then you've got hole stitch fans around the edge, and that will be stitched into a little cushion, and you put your lavender in this centre part here, and you can see the lavender through the rose ground area. So this is made out of a white thread, and it's quite a fine thread. I think it might be 100 weight, but I'm not quite sure. I'll have to check on that. So if you're interested, send me a message. So lastly, I've been doing some sewing projects, which I've started to sell a few things on Etsy, because I make far too many sewn things. So in order to fund my craft habit, I've been selling some bags and knitting related products online. So if you're not interested, thank you for coming to listen to me, and perhaps see you next time. So here's a few things that I've been making for my shop. So I've done some notions pouches, and this one's got two little hearts on, and I've done some free motion quilting around there, just to make it a little pretty. And I've got a little, you can see my little label in there, Craft House Magic by Ellie Jones. So cute. They're actually made by a company called Dortex in Europe. They do really nice labels. So the back on this one is just a plain back. Again, it's a nice sort of rounded shaped little notions pouch. I've also been doing some applique in different fabrics. So this one matches the notions pouch. It's got a little heart there with some stitchery on it, and they've got some little snaps, so you can put your needles inside there. So if I just show you with my socks, for instance, you can just snap them in place, and there it's plenty of room for a pair of socks to hang just in the centre there. So I've also done a little heart in a pink and blue fabric, because it's quite similar, and I've been doing some of these gorgeous butterflies. I can't resist them, beautiful. So that's a couple of the things I've been working on. Oh, and there's some, I've been doing some plain ones as well, and I couldn't resist this knitted fabric. This is one of the Downton Abbey fabrics that you can get from like your local sewing shop. Lovely. So thank you for listening, and I hope to see you next time on my podcast. So hopefully they'll be about 20 to 30 minutes in length, not too long. But if you have any suggestions that you think might improve the podcast, then I'd be very grateful to hear from you. So thank you all for joining me, and bye bye.